Greetings to all of you pastors and leaders in the middle of this kind of crisis, figuring out how to lead in the middle of it. I just want to encourage you today. I'm Ron Luce, and maybe this is your first time on the site seeing one of these videos, and I want to just give you something to think about. Sometimes when we're in the middle of all this, it's hard to have perspective. And I want to just encourage you to think about the moment that we're in that's pretty unprecedented. Obviously, we know that with the pandemic and then the economic situation, all of that is unprecedented and historic. What's happening to churches and what's happening to businesses all around the world and all over the United States where I am right now is unprecedented. But there's something else that I want you to really think about and maybe pray about, and how you might be able to really leverage this moment. And I mean that in a good way. I've got an article coming out in just a couple of days in several publications, but it's all about how to seize this moment, maybe once in a generation moment that we have right now. You know, those of you that have been in ministry for a while, you may have felt the struggle. I've talked to leaders literally all over the world that are really struggling with, and they have for years, how do you reach and impact this generation? Some have struggled for a long time with the millennials. Now, I love the millennials. I preached to 3 million millennials here in America, and yet it still seemed like most of them stopped going to church when they became adults. We got Generation Z now, and the struggle of how do we get the gospel to the next generation? Well, typically, what has happened, it happened all through the history of Israel, now it's happening, is when a nation gets blessed or there's a season of peace, people stop thinking about the Lord. When times are good, just like Israel, they turned their back, they got hard heart, and then, they fell on rough times, and, they got invaded and things like that. The blessing of God was lifted. And however you theologize what's happening right now, the fact is that there are millennials and there are Gen Zs that are facing something they've never had to face before. In my generation, we would have heard our parents or grandparents talk about, World War II or this, the Great Depression and the tough times and how they had to work and wrestle, just to make a living. And, it made their hearts open to the Lord. And, we had many revivals spring out of that. Well, both of these generations, millennials and the Gen Z, depending on where you live in the world, have never had to face really intense times where everything that they built their life on has been shaken. Scripture talks about that. Everything that shakes will be shaken. It also talks about the sons of Issachar in First Chronicles. They knew the signs of the times, and they knew what Israel should do. And that's what I want us to think about today. What should we do in this moment? Where it's not just in America, but all around the world, this sense of shaking things that we built our careers on, our self-images on, our financial prosperity on, things are shaking right now. There's a sense of insecurity, unsureness. We don't know what the future is going to hold. We don't know what our career is going to hold. And there's a moment here that we have to speak life and the truth of the gospel into that void, into that insecurity, into that chasm of despair. We are merchants of hope. We're the ones that give not just hope for He's going to take care of you financially, He's going to take care of your health, but He's going to take care of your soul. The quest for peace, the quest for wholeness, the quest for, security that no job can give you anyways. It just masks the fact that you don't really have it. And so I just want to encourage you for the younger generation. I'm talking about both the millennials and the Gen Z, wherever you might live. Think about your focus on them as a church, as a pastor, right now while we have this moment, and preparing right now for after the shutdown's over, and what strategy might you have. It will linger for a while, it might linger for a few months, it might linger for a year in terms of that openness. So now is the time to prepare. Churches all over the land are beginning to think more deeply rather than just, hey, I got my service online or something, but more deeply with this openness, how do we seize this moment? I would encourage you to take a page out of what some of the exponential churches are doing all around the world. They're growing exponentially in spite of the trends. And with the COVID-19, they're not missing a beat. They're not just getting more people to view online, but they've trained leaders. The leaders are growing, and they're building block upon block, stability and stable and strong growth, not just viewer growth. I want to encourage you to think and plan right now to prepare for when this thing is over, how you can have a focus while the window of their hearts are open. Now, I'd be glad to do that. Of course, a lot of people have gotten the book Faith at the Speed of Light to learn more about how these 10 different exponential churches around the world are doing it. We've got other training coming out online soon, webinars and things. Be glad to serve in any way that I can. I've actually gone into some churches, helping to coach and consult them and that kind of thing. And anyways, just want to serve in whatever way that I can in this moment. If nothing else, just encourage you on this site. So like it, share it to some friends, other leaders and people in ministry that might be benefited by this. And together, let's wrap our minds around the new moment that we have to impact this world for Christ. God bless. See you next time.